Gable Steveson, man, what a cool spot he's in. What everybody would dream of being. He's actually living that right now, which is he gets to decide where he goes. You guys know who Gable is, right? NCAA champion for Minnesota, still has eligibility left, but over the summer he went out, represented the country, won the Olympic gold medal. Boom, heavyweight. So now you got a young guy, 21 years old, handsome as can be, hasn't exhausted his NCAA eligibility. So that has to be on the table. In addition, he's kind of like a protege of Brock Lesnar. I might be embellishing their relationship. What I do know about that is Brock went to Minnesota, still cares about the wrestling program, was the king of the heavyweights. Gable, now a younger guy, Minnesota, king of the heavyweights. Gable has appeared on Monday Night Wrestling. He's appeared with Stephanie McMahon on TV, and they've all announced that they would like to have Gable. They've even brought him into Monday Night Wrestling after the Olympics so he could take a victory tour. It would appear that that window and opportunity is open. Great. Then there was talk from the Minnesota Vikings that they're going to look at Gable for a tryout. Now, that would make perfect sense, and I'm sure Gable would do a great job. I don't know that I buy that or there's any truth to it. I think that the Vikings had the sense that God gave geese to attach their name to a young guy who could get them media attention, and it worked. The Dallas Cowboys, who don't have the sense that God gave geese, the Rams, the Raiders, everybody else who didn't say we're looking at Gable, shame on you, point for the Vikings, you should have attached yourself to him. I digress. Dana's jumped in the pool, says I'll be meeting with the guy. Scott Coker has met with him. My only point to you is that it appears to be wide open for Gable. What's he going to do? Before we get to what he's going to do, what would you do? Follow the golden rule of life. Put yourself in somebody else's shoes. Tell us how you would behave. And it's not as simple as you think. When you only have 1 year of college left, sure, the eligibility is something very special. Eligibility is this beautiful word that is taken for granted until you're out of it. But all it would do is put him in the NCAA ranks, which would take him back to a tournament of which he's already won. Where's his motivation for that? I don't know. I'm asking the question. It would allow him, should he grind out another 12 months, with or without intercollegiate athletics, to get his degree. That's a big deal. I would imagine that's a big deal to his parents. I would imagine somewhere within him he'd like to get that done. I was of the mind that he was lock, stock, and barrel delivered to the WWE. But the fact that he's talking about the Vikings, talking about Dana on social media, posing with Scott Coker on social media, it looks as though maybe that's not as done as we all thought. And the University of Minnesota, as recently as 24 hours ago, put out an interview and said, we expect Gable Steveson to be our heavyweight representative this year. I got a guy who's on the Minnesota team right now who says we're told we have a heavyweight and we're told his name is Gable, and they're already on campus and doing some workouts. So I think if I was to guess, and this is a revolving door, if I would have had a different guess a week ago and a different guess the week before that. But today, I don't know if I am, maybe, according to Minnesota, Gable is going to wrestle for them, which means any WWE, any pro wrestling, any MMA stuff would be put on hold. Now, MMA guys are weighing in. I think Ben Askren put him at like 6 months. In 6 months, Gable Steveson could beat Francis Ngannou. Henry Cejudo put it at 3 years. And within 3 years, Gable Steveson could beat Francis Ngannou. I don't know. We have seen so many wrestlers fall on their face that would surprise you. Ones that were great would surprise you. And it's not very often in MMA that you have a really big guy, same as boxing, right? Tyson Fury has a hard time making the limit, or Francis Ngannou, who's all of the limit. That's rare. It generally goes to that 230, 248. The little smaller guys generally move a little bit better. They can usually scramble a little more. Their conditioning and their endurance, they can use it in that size in their advantage as opposed to disadvantage. So it is rare, and Gable is all of the weight, but he's also built very different. He's a very solid, very good-looking athlete, particularly for that class. And it is tough. When Henry was weighing on this specifically, and Henry as a wrestling Olympic champion, I don't know if there's anyone better to listen to. Henry came over to the sport with the same exact skills and resume that Gable has. Henry put it at 3 years. But he put it specifically at 3 years to beat Francis Ngannou. That's where things get interesting. If you said how long till he could do well in MMA or even be MMA champion, you have a totally different conversation than you are specifically to beat Francis Ngannou. I don't know. But enough people keep blowing Gable up, but they start talking about his youth, and they talk how big he is, and they talk about the last time that he got beat, and they talk about how impressive he is. I'm not positive Ngannou ever signs the contract and shows up and fights him. I'm not sure that Gable couldn't beat Francis Ngannou at a press conference. I'm not sure. I could have this upside down, backwards, and wrong. It just appears that our champion in Francis is looking for something else to do than fight some of the top guys. It looks as though he can get intimidated. It looks as though Francis backed John Jones down prior to a press conference. That the greatest talent in the sport that we've ever seen got intimidated and went the other way, just like on the schoolyard. And now it looks as though Derek Lewis did the same. Right? I mean, it's one of these things. Gable to be the champion or Gable to be prominent in MMA, I think that 3 years is way too long. But Henry's got the right to his opinion. 3 years to beat Francis Ngannou, you're having a totally different conversation.